Alrighty folks, welcome back to another video from Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Want to start out again with head on over, hit subscribe, hit the bell, head on back over. For this video, security side, I already talked about open ports, network ports on the wall. The other major factor that I've always seen and always come across is the wireless security key. Making sure you take off and set a security key, not the default. Most of the time the default's on the bottom, or there is no default, or it's as simple as administrator with no password. If you're able to change the username and password, or just password, you need to change those immediately. Default logins, when you connect to a Wi-Fi, don't leave it as open. I've talked about that before on some other videos. There is a lot of issues with that. A lot of security issues, number one, because it's tied to your network. Anybody that gets on there can get into anything on your network. Knowing what ports and what security features and firewalls and all the other port security you have on your wireless is important to know that. But this one's going to be a quick little simple video because this is one of those things I see all the time. I pick it up and scan and find it all the time. I don't know how they do it, but I would assume this would be smart enough not to let you do it. I know when you set it by default, it sets it. Is your Wi-Fi security password. I've scanned networks and seen people's phones that are open. Open hotspots. Where basically you just click on it and you get on. Well, there's some major problems with that. I mentioned that on the past video. You don't want to be joining someone else's hotspot because you don't know what's going on. This is one of the most dangerous devices there is. These kind of devices. See it all the time. Internet, routers, modems, with open Wi-Fi. Not only is it dangerous for your data and your stuff going on, mention it with VPNs and other things that people can get by a lot of those security and a lot of those firewall settings by using a VPN. VPN companies will tell you a lot of things. They'll tell you a lot of, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't track this, we don't track that. But for liability reasons, I know they track a lot of stuff and they have logs. Because now, if I have a VPN on here and I join your wireless network and use that VPN through it, they're going to see traffic going through. They're not going to see what the actual traffic is, but they're going to see traffic going to that VPN access point where it goes out to the internet. They can't really see from that point. But if something malicious happens through your cell phone internet, or they can track it back to your cell phone, they're going to come ask you questions, or they might end up with a lawsuit or some other legal ramifications, or you might just lose your internet access. And it might not be you who did it. It's someone else who got on to your access point, your internet on that device. There are lots of legal ramifications that have happened where music industry has sued people saying this person had so many songs illegally downloaded and blah, 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 blah. They go check that person's computer, can't find them. Well, it came off of your internet. Well, that could have been anybody that was on that person's internet. So there's a lot of issues that have come from that, and that's legal. You're going to be paying money to resolve these things. Don't know how a lot of those cases have turned out. Kind of quit following them. I'm like, that's not really. But this is a security concern that needs to be addressed. And I know a lot of people have mentioned it. But again, this is really the year of my security videos. And I want to press that because I've heard a lot of, well, it's not really a big deal. It's not my problem. I don't care if someone got on there and did whatever, because then that's their problem. They're doing it through your internet connection. That's where the problem is. Making sure your internet Wi-Fi is secure, I know, was one of the things that came up, and one of the things that they wanted to prove that that person was negligent because they did not put that Wi-Fi security password on there. You did not take the proper security procedures to make sure your network was secure. So I kind of thought that was kind of interesting that they would pull that kind of a card out to use against the person. So, want to make sure everybody's aware of these kind of issues. Not to mention all the headaches it would cause just to deal with these things. And maybe you just didn't know. Maybe you didn't understand how to do it. I have videos on that showing all of those things. So I wanted to do a short video just on that subject because that is a major thing. I know I've mentioned it on other videos, how to configure your wireless network and all of that type of stuff. You put in your wireless network name, you put in the security. Make sure you have a security in there. One of the big things that I've heard of, and I just kind of laugh so hard right now, is they're trying to push the new Wi-Fi 6 because it has the newest encryption security key layers that are supposed to be harder to crack. Really? If you make it, someone's going to design software to break it. Yeah, it might take them a minute to break the old one, where it might take them 3 minutes to break the new one. They're going to crack it. So I kind of thought that was really funny that this is how they want to market and advertise the new Wi-Fi 6 for everybody to buy it. Because they can't push the bandwidth anymore. Okay, you can get 1,000 meg internet connection between this and your Wi-Fi router with new Wi-Fi 6 AX or whatever it is, boosted speed. You only have a 300 meg internet connection. You can't have 1,000 meg internet connection on a 300 meg internet connection. So I kind of thought it was interesting that they kind of spun it off into the security, but not security, because they really didn't tell you all the key features other than, hey, it's harder to crack, it's more encryption, it's better for you. Okay. That's not really going to make me run out I want to buy that, because I know if someone really wants to get in it, and how secure is that password? If you give it out to everybody who comes to your house, it's not very secure. And then you have guest network features that you can set up, and you have other things that you can do that really I think would be a better selling point than that. I've heard that, and I just kind of giggled like, this is what they would do? But I wanted to do a video on this because it is something I still see today. And I was shocked the last time I scanned and I saw 2 cell phones that were open. I'm like, how did they? I know when you set up hotspot, it gives you the phone Wi-Fi name and password. I've not really researched that on how you remove that password, but usually it sets it in there. I know you can usually change it or whatever, but I was kind of surprised that it said it was open. If they have some proprietary third-party software in there or something that does that for whatever reason, I don't know. But I just kind of thought it was interesting, and I wanted to bring that up to make sure people understand to have that password. Because that falls back into the video I just did about how unsecure and unsafe these devices are. This joins a network, broadcasting out. Is it clean, dirty? Who knows? You join this network into the hotspot. What is it connected to? Verizon, AT&T, whatever cell phone? Or is it connected into a dirty Wi-Fi network? You don't know. This can be a middle point to anything. Talked about middleware, middle attacks, all of that. You don't know what you're connecting to. So, having those passwords, knowing proper Wi-Fi network security procedures, best practices are part of that. Making sure you have that Wi-Fi password set, not open, is hugely crucial. Making sure it's not the default either is crucial. A lot of devices come in with a default on them. It'll tell you this is Netgear, and usually it's on the bottom. It says it's Netgear Wi-Fi, 655 or whatever it is, and then it'll have a password. Usually that default password is on every one of those Netgears that they sell. You don't want to have that out with that default password, because if I search the network and see it says Netgear 655, hey, that's the default. I wonder if it's the default password. You can Google that and find it. Anybody can get on your network. Changing the device name is also a very good idea, because what I said, someone can Google that network name and figure out what device you have. With that, they can figure out if you have any zero-day vulnerabilities or any other hardware vulnerabilities with that device, because you just gave them all the information they need to know about your router. So let me wrap this one up. Thank everybody for watching. I know this one kind of went in a couple different areas, but it's important to know this information because of making sure everybody has that security key when you get on the Wi-Fi. Thank you so much.